Alright, today we're going to be breaking down John Dodson and Nathaniel Wood. First, we'll break down a few fights on the card that's going to be on. I think it's called UFC Rio Rancho in Albuquerque. In New Mexico, sorry. So we'll, break down the main event first. Corey Anderson versus Jan Blachowicz. I think Jan takes that. I think his takedown defense is good enough to stop the relentless pressure and takedown attempts that Corey will be throwing at him. I think his takedown defense is very underrated. And I think he's way more powerful on the feet. I think he's much more smoother on the feet. But I could definitely see Corey outpointing him just with those little pitter patter shots and a few takedowns. But I think Jan is solid enough to stifle all that and then win the decision. But I think it'll definitely be close. This fight is a crazy fight. It's one of the smallest welterweights on the roster versus one of the biggest welterweights on the roster. I think Michelle fucking knocks him into the realm of I think he knocks his head into orbit, to be honest. I don't see any situation where Michelle, if he doesn't just fuck around and just do like 360s or whatever, if he just like throws one punch and it connects on Diego's chin, it's lights out. So I'm not going big on it because it's Michelle Pereira, but I'll definitely be betting Michelle knockout, or if the money line's juicy enough, I'll probably just bet Michelle straight. Oh, that's a good fight. Devon's definitely got the cardio advantage. I'd say Antigulov has the better, cleaner wrestling. But it will be interesting. Two big boys fucking battling it out for head control and wrist control. It'll be like a fucking wrestling match. But that'll be a good one. I reckon Devon Clark edges it in a decision. Loses the first round probably. Who cares? Probably Montana. Don't know about either of these guys yet. But Brock Weaver did look pretty decent on Dana White's Contender Series, and that's a fun fight. I think Yancey edges it on volume. That's a fun fight too. I think Means edges it on volume and cleaner strikes. Alright, so this is the fight we're breaking down today. John Dodson and Nathaniel Wood. As you can see, John Dodson has the reach discrepancy of 3 inches and the height discrepancy of 3 inches and has a much shorter leg reach. What else we got for X factors? Yeah, John Dodson, small 135er, came up from 125. But yeah, definitely a small 135er. He's a hometown fight. He trains in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So, and also something to note is this is his last fight on his contract. So I could definitely see Dodson stepping away or retiring after this fight. I mean, what else has he got? He's not really improving, is he? And what else has he got to prove? So that's the only reason it's hard to bet John Dodson these days, is where's his motivation at? Sometimes he turns up to fights and it doesn't look like he came to fight on that night. Especially recently in the Jimmy Rivera fight. I'd say Dodson has a speed advantage in this one, and Dodson has never been finished. He's very hard to finish. Alright, so break down the striking in this one. We saw the blueprint to beating John Dodson. Peter Yan feints and pressure, push him against the fence. Saw Peter Yan use that to a T perfectly in their fight. Saw John Dodson, he bites on the feints, puts his back against the fence, and when he's on his back against the fence and he can't go back anymore, he still bites on the feints. He's still trying to lean back, but he can't. He literally can't because the fence is on his back. So it's pretty much just hitting a non-moving target. But yeah, the thing about Nathaniel is he doesn't feint much. He's more of a, a low set, low base type boxer. Keeps his guard up very high. He'll get in the pocket. He'll cover up to get in the pocket. Doesn't really throw anything to get in the pocket. He'll kind of just cover up until he gets into range, and then throw a straight left. Oh no, yeah, straight right or a left hook. Whereas John Dodson, he's more of a fights at range, blitzes in and out. One thing I've noticed with Dodson is he's always angling to his right after his blitz offense. So once he hits his little 1-2 and then always angles off to his right, tries to get behind the opponent. Saw him do that a lot in the Pedro Munoz fight. Another thing about Nathaniel Wood is that he overextends on his punches a lot, and that can find him in range, or in a squared stance, or a little modified southpaw stance. But yeah, it's not good, and sometimes he even lifts his rear foot off the ground when he's overextending, and that's when you can tell he's really overextending on his punches, which he shouldn't really need to in this fight unless because he does have the reach and height advantage. If he gets Dodson against the fence and starts feinting, then he won't need to worry about overextending, but that's just not the way he fights. So I don't see him utilizing that yarn blueprint. But yeah. But also, he's more of a striker, but I'd say a lot of his success has been in the grappling department in the UFC. His grappling tendencies, he won't look for submissions, but he will attack them in certain positions, like when the opponents are on all fours or they're turtled up. So, but he's very opportunistic. That's why he's got 3 submissions in 3 fights in the UFC. But when he's on top, he does put his hands on the mat as a post. It's pretty blatant too. So that's only okay if you're in mount, because the opponent can't shift their hips, hip escape, and armbar you from the bottom. But he does it in guard, which is a big red flag. It's just an armbar waiting to happen. And another thing he does, which is really good, instead of the last point that I made, is that he's got a DARS grip. So he gets the DARS grip, and then with the forearm that he's not got around the neck, he'll put it on the back of his opponent's head, so forcing the head downwards, and that means the only way to escape is to roll over. And then once they roll over, he's in side control. So it's a very nice chess move. Setting one up, setting a trap, and then making them fall into the preferred position that you always had in mind from the start. So how these guys win? John the Magician Johnson. He's got good footwork, fast blitzes, obviously faster than a lot of people in the 135 division. He's got a great chin, good get-ups, good cardio. He's a good fighter, but he's just his physical limitations is is one of the big reasons why he loses at 135. How Nathaniel the Prospect Wood wins. He's got good fight IQ. He's got considerable power in both hands. Saw that a lot in the regional scene. He's got one punch knockout power. Very, very deceptive power. But he's got good technique. When he's not overextending on his punches. He's only overextending on his punches when his opponents are backing up or if they're very long. You saw it really highlighted in the Jose Quinones fight, because Jose's such a tall fighter. He's always on his toes, chin up in the air, very bouncy. So it's he's just hard to hit. He's also got good leg kicks, which could be used in this fight to slow John Dodson's movement down. How he loses, however, for Nathaniel Wood, his naked left hook, which he throws quite a bit, can be countered by straight punches. Just obviously the straight punch is going to beat the left hook just because of the wind up, especially when it's naked, not followed by a straight right. So yeah, that's something John Dodson can look for. And also a funny thing happens when he gets hurt. He kind of freezes up. He kind of throws zero offense, tries to get a lot of distance between his opponent. You saw it a lot in the you saw it a bit in the Johnny Eduardo fight. He kind of got stunned, and he kind of just covered up near the cage, and Johnny Eduardo was still continuing just using his footwork, just bouncing around the cage, and Johnny Eduardo was on the other side of the cage pretty much, and Nathaniel didn't move, because he was still covering up, just trying to get his bearings. So it's definitely interesting. He's got a bad poker face, and bad body language when he gets hurt. So that can play on the judges' minds. Also, he doesn't wear damage very well. He gets easily marked up. He also eats leg kicks, just like they're nothing. But it does pile up. And that boxing style, so he puts a lot of weight on his lead leg. Yeah, and how John Dodson loses can be pressured onto the fence. We saw that in the Peter Yan fight. Comes up short on punches due to his physical disadvantages, as we talked about before. Drops his guard, stops what he's doing to complain to the ref at times. So that a lot in the Peter Yan fight as well, and the Marlon Moraes fight. He just a little fucking whinger, isn't he? When he thinks he's been when he thinks he's been wronged, he'll stop everything and start complaining to the ref. It's really frustrating to watch. Just fucking cop it, man. You're a fighter. You just got to go through that. If the ref doesn't see it, the ref doesn't see it. He's not going to start listening to a little 5'3" guy who's just been running away from the fight the whole time. It's just perspective as the watcher, and also as a third party observer, such as the referee. Just not going to. Because watching him is quite frustrating sometimes, because sometimes it looks like he doesn't want to fight, and then he starts complaining about, a headbutt or something, which there wasn't, and it's just how you fight is in that blitzing style. So it is frustrating to watch sometimes. But yeah. So yeah, path to victory for John Dodson. Split the guard, split his high boxing guard with a jab, twos, uppercuts, save the hooks, really. Work the body, since he's holding that guard so high. Quick combos when he overextends, when for that brief moment that Nathaniel Wood's off balance when he overextends, you got to get him and land your combos and then dip out. You want to use some feints, bait that naked left hook that Nathaniel likes to throw out, and then counter it with a straight punch. And it would be really nice if he came out in orthodox for this fight, so he could counter that left hook better, but he's been southpaw for a while now, so I don't think he's going to come out, but it would be nice for a tactical advantage. Path to victory for Nathaniel. Leg kicks slow his movement, as we talked about before. Forward pressure, cut the cage off. Just Peter Yan's game plan. We talked about that. And a hard left hook when Dodson finishes blitz, and as he always does, he'll shift off to your left and Dodson's right. So it'll be handy if you throw a left hook just to intercept him as he's brushing past you. Could easily be a momentum knockdown, as John Dodson's, not ready for it. He's speeding past, he's going very fast, and he hits a brick wall. It could be a quick flash knockdown. But how I see it going, if Dodson fights how he fought Wineland, Munoz, and Moraes, he wins a decision. If he shows up like he fought his last two fights, allowing himself to get pressed against the fence, showing a general lack of urgency, he loses. Wood is a very poor man's version of Peter Yan. Let's see if Dodson has learnt anything from his mistakes. Leaning Dodson, but hard to know which John shows up. If the slack version, it's still probably a 50-50 fight. I've got John by decision, to be honest. Not Wood inside the distance. at about $1.20. I'd definitely bet that, probably in a parlay piece. But overall, I'll probably bet